Love Lies Bleeding is the best film of 2024 and it's only March.
Are you threatening me?
Yep.
Drive-by movies you're watching.
Fresh releases.
My name is Blaise.
And my name is James.
And this week we're talking about the new film, Love Lies Bleeding.
Love Lies Bleeding made me all sweaty and hot watching the movie in a cold theater. It's about a gym manager named Lou who falls for Jackie, a bodybuilder who is passing through town en route to a competition in Las Vegas. And wow, what a summary that is. A summary that does not give the movie away whatsoever. This movie is great, but I do have one gripe with the movie, but one of the best of the year already. This movie caught me off guard. Like, the trailers definitely like give it that, like, this is going to be a cool A24 movie. So I was reluctant going in, but you know, when I see on Letterboxd that the people I trust start liking, I'm like, all right, I got to check it out. And glad I did, because it was a phenomenal wild ride and also very unexpected. And you know, I promised when we reviewed Saint Maud I was going to look out for this director, Rose Glass, and see what else they're going to come out with. And bam, solid sophomore feature. What do you think?
Definitely. I think that Rose Glass utilized a lot of the elements that we enjoyed from Saint Maud, but then, you know, had brought all the things that you would for your sophomore film, you know, a bigger budget, some stars, you know, a tighter knit script that was different enough from the first film, but, you know, had some elements in there. Definitely a lot of magical realism, still utilize those elements. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I would say it caught me off guard too. I didn't really know what to go in expecting. I don't even think I caught a trailer for this. I literally just read that synopsis. So I was like, you know, I'll give it a shot. I had seen some good star reviews. I didn't read any reviews, but I seen some good star ratings. Like, let's see where this lies for me.
Right. And really, you know, stoked on the plot too, just because, you know, I kind of expected like, you know, like a Bonnie and Clyde or Thelma and Louise style thriller where just they're going to get into some deep crap by like stealing money or something from Ed Harris. I'll just get into my gripe actually within the movie. It's not really that big of a gripe because Ed Harris is phenomenal in the movie, but a lot of people like keep saying Ed Harris has never been more sinister, more horrifying. I'm just like, have y'all not seen like, you know, The Abyss or A History of Violence? Like A History of Violence, he's hardly in that movie. He's horrifying in that movie, but it's definitely memorable in this movie though. I loved him in this movie still though. That wig was like one of a kind and quite the look, and definitely going to be an image that I can't get out of my head. But people who steal the movie though, I'd say are Kristen Stewart and then of course Katie O'Brien too. Just like some of the shots with Katie O'Brien too were like horrifying. Like a lot of it were the ones that might be horrifying, like, you know, I don't want to spoil too much, but like were more CGI based. But, you know, like I said, a very unexpected, weird direction this movie went in that I just didn't see coming.
You know why, James, that people have to say, oh, Ed Harris is the most sinister, or when they see one Godzilla film, Godzilla -1, and they say this is the best Godzilla film ever made, even though they've only seen one? You know why, James? Because people have to make grandiose statements on the internet to get anyone to click or watch or listen or whatever. So you know what? I'll do that right now. Love Lies Bleeding is the best film of 2024 and it's only March. April, whatever.
Yeah. Which, you know, I'd probably agree with too. There's a lot of movies I'm actually really hyped for. I just saw Late Night with the Devil recently, and you know, that's a movie that we'll probably talk about in the future when it releases on Shudder. But also, so many trailers for movies where I'm just like, oh my god, this looks good. Oh my god, this looks good. Oh my god, this looks good. But this is definitely the biggest surprise, and yeah, absolutely is the best movie I've seen of the year so far. And you know, we've been kind of trying to avoid bad movies. You know, we might have got a couple bad movies in the early months of January where we just didn't care for it or it was somewhat forgettable. But yeah, so far the actual 2024 release movies we've been watching have been fantastic. And this one's, you know, just leagues above those, some of the ones that we like just narrowly, like the past couple weeks, Roadhouse and Godzilla and Kong. But the shots, the music, the grittiness, and you know, making an original story out of a story we've kind of been seen done before. Like I said, I thought it was going to be just a simple getaway movie with two girls falling in love, but way more complicated than that, and love that for it.
Definitely. And I feel like this had elements of, you know, a lot of other directors that we've enjoyed, like filmography. Obviously it has, you know, nods to, you know, Nicholas Winding Refn and like the cinematography and some of the subject matter. It does feel a lot like Drive, this film, beyond just the score. I know it's not the same composer, but it does feel very similar in vibe. It's got this neo-noir vibe going for it, but also it has an element of like increased anxiety, like you mentioned at the beginning of this episode. Like it does, you know, really put you in your seat and you're kind of gripping and you're like, oh my god, this is not gonna end well, you know? And does it? You're gonna have to find out if you check out the movie. But yeah, it had elements of like the Safdie brothers. I felt like even a lot of their films for me are just anxiety overload, panic inducing, you know, PTSD type trauma dumps. But this, I felt like, was like this complete package of a lot of things that I've enjoyed throughout the last decade, but almost feeling entirely original.
Right. And yeah, absolutely memorable also by bringing in this like horror element to it. Like, while it's not necessarily like a scary movie, or I'd even put it in the horror genre, it's got a lot of body horror sequences, like with some of the more unexpected stuff that's kind of in people's heads. I guess you could say within this movie, or some of the metaphor sequences within it, or drugs tripping sequences as well too. But, you know, I was surprised by how Cronenberg inspired it was at times. But, and like you said, also Refn inspired, Safdie brothers inspired, but it's definitely also Rose Glass's own, which is like, you know, some of the brutal torture that these characters put themselves in, knowing how to handle social situations very well. Really like the aspect of, you know, these people just not knowing how to speak, and also like the setting of it being in the 80s, but it's not overly forced. This is disgusting middle of the nowhere desert 80s, where it could even be like, you know, 2000, but they just might be behind on the times because of, you know, how small the town is that they're located in. But, you know, a lot of this movie could have been solved if cell phones existed or simple background checks existed. But that kind of makes this movie feel more special by it, you know, being a period piece essentially, but not necessarily feeling like one.
Yeah. So one thing about this film actually that I will say, or not really about the film, about the reception of the film, specifically one of the lead actresses, but a lot of people have been coming out and saying like Kristen Stewart is one of the best working actresses today. I feel like that's something I've been saying since Twilight, as well as, you know, obviously Robert Pattinson. We hear people come out and say, oh wow, they're both amazing actors. Like you could see shades of that even after literally Twilight, with the projects that these two actors are taking were always risk taking, and now they're kind of moving back into, it feels like they took a ton of risks, you know, after those films, worked with interesting directors, you know, sometimes first time directors, sometimes well established directors, but always an interesting project. And it feels like now they're kind of moving their way back into the mainstream, and now people are noticing, wow, these are actually two really, you know, excellent actors. I know Robert Pattinson's not in this movie, but he was recently in the Batman, and we're going to see him in a couple films this year. So I think it would be, you know, remiss to say that he's also on that same track where you're seeing a lot more of these actors and realizing, you know, Twilight was a bad movie, but that doesn't mean that they were just horrible actors at the time. They really embodied those characters. Yeah,
we've been saying it since 2009, 2010. Like both of them were doing indies even during those movies were being made. You know, like I don't blame people, you know, if you're only paying attention to mainstream cinema and stuff. Like, you know, you just might not have known that they are capable of this, but we've known for a while, and I'm glad that people are finally recognizing it and stuff too. But it's definitely not anything new though too. So it's just like, it is surprising when people say like, wow, they're actually a good actor. Like, it's just like, no, like, I mean, go check out some of their older stuff. Like, you know, if you ever find a new director you like, aren't you going to check out their old stuff that got them started? I hope you do. And I hope you do that for your favorite actors and actresses too. Just because, you know, one movie or franchise, you know, got them their name and give them the opportunity to do these better movies, like, you know, don't hold that against them, I guess you could say. You know, like, you know, I might have a grudge with an actor just because, like, you know, I don't know, but try not to make it personal, because I don't know, I might have a personal grudge with an actor that for no particular reason, but just at the end of the day, you know, if they're in a good movie, you know, these are just normal people just doing their jobs at the end of the day.
it's not going to take you out of it, basically,
exactly.
is what you're saying. You know, you still give it a chance. You know, you'll give everyone a chance. Just because somebody starred in Twilight doesn't mean you're going to write off the rest of their filmography and the rest of their career.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know, but
some people will. Yeah.
Yeah, some people will, though. So I think that's all you're prefacing. But yeah, I would say definitely go check this out. This is the best movie I've seen this year. I know that that's not that tall of a statement, but hey, I'll make that grandiose statement that you wanted and say this is going to be the best film of the year. I know it right now.
Yeah. I was really laughing at your tall statement without giving too much away. But yeah, the speaking of tall stuff, that caught me off guard also within this movie. But yeah, I highly recommend it. Great movie. Loved, like, you know, a lot of the metaphors with smoking cigarettes too. Like, just someone who's an ex-smoker, I was just like, right on everything. But highly recommend checking out in theaters right now. It's a A24 film, so it's going to take a while for it to start streaming. So you have to go see it in theaters. Help support movies like this. So, you know, people that you might have been surprised, like Kristen Stewart, you know, let her keep doing movies like this and stuff too, because fantastic, and I want more movies like this, and I want more movies from Rose Glass. I'm sure A24 is happily going to fund her again after Saint Maud and this, both A24 movies. Like, you know, going to be the next Ari Aster, I guess. Like, yeah, Ari Aster has made 3 successful films, and now, you know, Rose Glass, can't wait to see your 3rd film with them. So yeah, great way to help support the show. After you check it out in theaters, definitely leave a comment letting us know what you thought about the movie.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get all of our latest updates.
And speaking of updates, be sure to catch all our social media links down below. We got Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and as well as our own personal Letterboxd accounts. That'll conclude this week's episode. Tune in next week for a brand new video.